This empty chair represents the addict who died today, not knowing recovery was possible.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Empty Chair. I'm pretty excited about this episode. I met this young lady.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Years ago. And you want to know something? Being an advocate, like I've been for many years, has some real positive things. Especially you get to meet people like Louise, and oh my God, I can't even count how many other people I've met that are just the most incredible people that I've been fortunate to have come into my life. But of course, there's also a bad thing about it too, because a lot of the people that I've met and really grown to love have lost a loved one to addiction. And unfortunately, Louise is one of them. But there's different ways. I've never had to do it myself, but there's different ways that they can handle it. Some people handle it almost like a war, a fight. And then you have others who pretty much crawl in a corner and basically they're dead themselves. So I want to talk to this young lady and show you that even though you've lost someone you love more than your own life, there still is a life after that. So, Louise, thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a while.
It's been a while, is right.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of you probably don't remember, but Louise was one of the first guests we had on the Empty Chair podcast. And just to kind of refresh everybody, why don't you tell us a little bit about Zack?
Sure. Actually, it's the 10th year anniversary this year of his passing. So he's passed on July 19th, 2013. So it will be 10 years. So you do a lot of reflection over, because you don't realize so much time has passed. But anyway, Zachary suffered from addiction. Probably started using drugs when he was in high school. Mm-hmm. But and at that time probably wasn't so much of an addiction, but like anything else, it worsened over time.
What was it, like booze and marijuana?
I started with pills. Well, started with pot, right? Yeah. I know it's not addictive as people think it is. But anyways, he started with pot. And then he was a hockey player. He was playing hockey. He broke his ankle, his leg, I should say. Required a lot of surgeries. And at the time, he was introduced to opiates for the surgery to maintain the pain.
Yeah, it's happened to a lot of them like that.
And well, I guess it was that time he discovered that he liked it. He liked it a bit too much. It took away not only the pain of his leg, but probably some pains that were in his own heart.
Sure.
So it's from that moment on that, I noticed a change in him, and I noticed his addiction taking off.
Right.
At the time, he was probably 17 years old.
Oh, boy.
And
young.
It was young, yeah. And at that time, people weren't really talking about the epidemic.
No, they were not. No.
And I didn't know a lot about it. And I think like most of us, we told our kids not to drink. Yeah. We did tell them not to smoke pot too. But I never thought about don't take a prescription pill.
Yeah, I know.
Who would have thought? I didn't. Mm-hmm. And it soon turned into a deeply ingrained addiction. And he was buying street drugs then. They introduced him to heroin, and I will say his addiction really, really turned.
I can relate to that. Yeah,
when they introduced heroin, it's a whole new ball game. And we tried really, really hard, and he did too. And that began a journey of multiple detoxes, inpatient treatment. I used to call them tour of duty, and you will remember too. Sure. Back then, there wasn't a lot of there weren't a lot of places. No,
and it was hard to get.
It was hard to get anything. Yeah. So ended up he went to Florida, and he went there multiple times.
Really?
And probably about his, I don't know, 10th time down there trying again, he ended up passing away in a sober home. He OD'd. In Florida, okay. Yeah. Just shy of his 21st birthday.
That is.
Yeah, it's very sad because
that is sad.
Did not have a long life.
And you're right. I mean, people who have been involved like you and I have, getting a bed is not a problem anymore.
No,
You know,
not like it was then.
no, but it's not a problem because we know how to go about it.
Yeah, I know. People
Right?
don't
Back
realize.
then, because I remember when my daughter, you know, OD'd, and they sent her to Hampstead,
Oh,
Hampstead Hospital.
Hampstead, yeah.
and she was there. She couldn't walk out because she had tried to commit suicide. She tried to overdose on purpose. And so she couldn't just leave on her own. So I remember the second day she called me up and says, Dad, can you come up here and sign me out? This place is terrible. She says, I'm going to come out of here worse than I went in. I says, no. She called me every name in a book, hung up the phone. Well, she stuck it out. And back then, we couldn't find a place for her. So we did find a sober living home in Winthrop. She stayed there for about 3 weeks, and then a place opened up. But even then, she stayed clean for 15 months and relapsed. And the man that saved her life was the late Joe Cotton from the Psychological Center.
Yeah.
Yep. Because when my daughter relapsed, she was out in the streets of Lynn for about 3 months. And when she was finally ready, back then, the Circle of Hope had started, and Joe was a member of it. And he was the CEO, so he had beds in Woman's View, and he got her in there, and he saved her life.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, if I didn't have the connections
I know,
back then,
it was really hard.
Yeah.
Very, very hard. Even having connections. There
it's
simply were
still-
no beds.
Yeah.
There simply were no beds.
So what happened after
And
that?
so after Zachary died,
All right, let me put it this way. As soon as he died, I'm going to take a wild
Yeah.
guess. You didn't just say, okay, that's it. I'm going to cure addiction on everybody. And what was your first month or so after he passed?
first month or so, I didn't do anything. I have to be
Yep.
honest. I
I
didn't
kinda
do a
figured
thing,
that.
right? But he died on July 19th. His birthday was August 18th. And so I insisted we have a 21st birthday party for him because obviously he wasn't going to have one.
Nope.
So we did. And while we were there, our family was together. And I said, you know what? It's time we have to out ourselves. We can't live behind this shadow.
Mm.
We have to let other people know, because if we don't, other people are going to be walking in our shoes. And it was then we decided to launch Zack's Teen Foundation.
Now, when you say we, who are we talking about?
It's my family. It was really a
Okay.
family. It was really my family, my
Mhm.
immediate family. Everybody got behind it, and
Well-
we wanted to do something to help others because, as you said, I was lucky. I had a good job. His dad had a good job. We were able to afford private care,
Mhm.
but a lot of people can't.
No.
And back then, really, if you needed advanced treatment before, longer than 20 days,
Yeah.
because that's all insurance would
Pretty
provide,
much, yep.
it pretty much came out of your pocket.
Yeah.
And there's lots of people that can't afford the price tag, and it was
Oh,
pretty hefty.
absolutely.
It's a pretty hefty
Oh, I-
price tag.
I have worked with I can remember with this one particular couple who pulled a second mortgage on their house to send their son to Florida.
Mhm.
He stayed there for 3 months, came back and relapsed.
Relapsed.
But the refinance of mortgage was, and I had told him, I says, I wish you would have called me, because, now we do have the places where we can get
We
you
can
in and
get
it
you
won't
in.
cost you nothing.
I know.
And, like you guys, we provide
It's a-
some scholarship.
Yeah, we
and-
provide scholarships,
yeah.
and that's
As
what
a
we
matter
do.
of fact, we shared a
We
scholarship.
did share
with,
scholarships. Yeah.
Is that, oh my God, he was a guest on here. Actually, he's one of our sponsors. Oh,
Oh, I know. If I went back, I'd find it.
is
I
it-
do remember
it
this.
is it Don, if you're out there, text your son's name. I just forgot it. But he was a good kid, and I knew his mother through the insurance company where we had.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Fran and I would go in and we'd be talking insurance, and within 10 minutes she's crying,
Oh, yeah. I do.
So we
I
got to
do.
know her pretty good, and he got some help, and then I think actually we split a
We split a
scholarship,
scholarship.
so he'd have 2 months instead
Yep,
of one.
instead of one.
And he's doing great. Like I said, he's one of the sponsors when he comes up there.
I love
good.
success stories.
Actually, because he came in and did a show with his wife. I think her wife's name is Lauren. That's pretty bad.
That's pretty bad. We can't get
I
his
can't
name, but we
remember
do
his
know the
name. I
wife's
always
name.
remember the girls' names. But they are a great couple, and you're right. They are a great success story. And yeah, and tell me something. I know you've helped a lot of people. Okay.
Yeah, I hope so.
What's that feeling you get?
I mean, I do two things. One, we do the scholarships,
Right.
And when we can help, and we try to focus on young adults, so under 30. And the folks that get the scholarships are just so grateful because they realize that they've gotten a chance.
Right.
And oftentimes, people that suffer from this disease, they don't get a lot of chances, right? So, and people still have the stigma around this disease.
Yeah.
And it's still 10 years later.
I know.
It still exists. So,
It does.
It does. I always thought, and I'm sure that I couldn't save Zach, right? And it took me a long time to realize it
of course
wasn't necessarily my fault. But if we can help others and help them on the journey, that's the most important
and
thing.
the thing is, we have an expression that we use in the Circle of Hope. As long as they're breathing, there's still hope.
Sure. And you know what? And people have to hold on to that.
They do.
And not only do we give the person that's suffering from the disease hope, we give the families hope. And that's a very important point, because people just think the person that suffers with that disease is suffering. And it's not. It's all of us suffer, right? Because you watch your loved one just disappear in front of your eyes.
Well, I know whenever anybody comes into our group, Fran and I, we basically tell them, you're the most important person in here, because if we can't help you, you can't help.
That's right. You can't help your loved one.
So tell us a little bit about Zach's team and what you've done as far as scholarships. Do you have a halfway house too?
We have a sober living home.
Right,
Yeah. I opened that in collaboration with Lowell House in
Yes,
Lowell.
yeah.
So we have that, and then we have one in Portland, Maine too.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
That
Yes,
I did
we do.
know.
Yeah.
I did know you. I did know you worked together with Lowell House.
Yeah, I did.
So this has been going on for a while.
It's been going, for 9 years now. And
Wow.
the other thing that I do is I also offer grief support. So
Yeah.
I have a grief support group. We meet every the fourth Tuesday of every month in Lowell.
Okay.
I've been doing that too for about 9 years as well, because we all know when you have a child, or it doesn't even have to be a child, it could be a husband, a sister, a brother, whatever,
Someone you care about.
somebody that you care about. You really need, when they're going through the disease, there is a form of mourning that occurs and a form of grief, but you always have hope.
Sure.
And once they die, I always call it the double whammy, right? Because as long as they're alive, there's hope.
Sure.
But then once they pass, it's tough. It's really hard, because you mourn them again. And you grieve again.
And I think grief support, being with people who have gone through what you're going through, I think is, at least you're trying to heal yourself. Because I tell you, I feel so bad when I see people who just shut down.
Yeah, they do. They do.
And I think that's more often than not,
I do too.
unfortunately.
I think it's hard. When they talk about, people taking that first step, and even folks that suffer from substance use disorder going into, say, an AA meeting or an NA meeting or whatever, it's hard to make that first step.
Oh, yeah.
I find the same thing with grief support, right? And once again, I think it's a lot because of shame. There's stigma, the woulda, the coulda, the shoulda. And sometimes it helps to have others that have kind of walked the walk.
So I'm going to take a wild guess that when I have people that are looking for something that you offer, I'm more than free to give them your number.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because I know I gave it to you for one.
Yep.
I don't think they took advantage of it. But like you said, it's hard.
It takes a while.
It
too.
does.
It depends on the newness of the grief.
Because I've noticed even with people that come into the Circle of Hope, again, taking that first step is hard. So a lot of times, you'll talk to them on the phone, get to know them a little. Fran and I will invite them over the house, to just kind of break the ice a little bit,
It's really hard.
And I talk business, and Fran, she's the social butterfly.
She is.
Hey, yep, you're listening, Fran. I kind of figured you were.
Hi, Fran.
Oh, yep, she's there. Now you've done some other things other than just Zach's team, because you were connected with the movie that Jim Wahlberg
Yes,
did.
yep.
If only.
If only.
Yeah, how
And
were
we're
you
doing
involved?
a new one.
Oh, you are.
Yeah, we just did it.
Tell us how
So-
you got involved with the first one.
So the first one I got involved, a mutual friend said, and Jim Wahlberg is from the Wahlberg Youth Foundation, the Wahlberg family, and a friend of mine connected the two of us. He was making a film. The film really was a prevention film. It was geared towards school-age teenagers to help them make better choices. So he was looking. He wanted to shed light on the disease. He was looking for a group of folks that had lost someone that was willing to come and film. And part of the film was filming. There was about 2 boys. One boy went into recovery and
Yeah.
rehab and recovery.
Yeah.
One boy didn't make it.
Right, I remember that.
So we participated in the funeral scene, and it was in the middle of a snowstorm. He said, "Can you get people here?" But we didn't know there was going to be a snowstorm that day. He said, "I'll get a couple of hundred. Can you get some?" Like he was thinking 20 people. I said, "I'll call them out." His folks didn't show up during the snowstorm. All the folks that had lost someone came.
Oh, sure.
So we had about 150 folks that had lost a loved one. They came and participated in the filming of the funeral scene. And then at the end of the
I remember
that at the
I
end of the
do.
movie, there was a tribute
Yeah,
to all of
'cause
our loved
there
ones.
was a couple there that with the signs. I remember.
Yeah, we all had the sign. Yeah,
I
at
think,
the very end.
Libby was one of them. I think.
Libby was there. That's
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah, I
right. Yeah,
remember
that's where I
that.
met her.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. Still to this day, it's still shown.
Oh yeah.
I'm a little bit disappointed that the education piece seems to have waned a bit, and the
Yeah,
disease is not.
we're going to
but,
talk a lot about that.
that
Actually.
really
yeah.
bothers me.
I'm really disappointed about that too. But I can remember one of our earlier events that we had down to Greater Lawrence Tech. We had you and Wallbag.
That's right.
showed the
Yep,
show.
we did.
Of course, he wouldn't come on unless you introduced him. Forget it. I couldn't introduce her. I got to introduce Louise, who Louise introduced it. Well,
We're buddies.
but it was, and we had a nice turnout there.
We did.
And yeah,
actually.
and we've been doing pretty good with that. Well, Cole kind of runs the show now, thank God. I help her as much as I can, but she's taken us to another level. Really
That's
has. She's
wonderful.
amazing. Very fortunate, and she's younger than me. But then again, everybody is. Guys, those of you that are listening, if you want to come in and say hi to Louise, or if you know someone that maybe has lost someone or is struggling with somebody, feel free to give us a buzz. So let's talk about the next movie.
So the next movie is called Out of the Ashes.
Out of the Ashes. Oh my
And
God.
what it focuses on is folks that have kind of turned their pain into purpose. So me and a few other moms and dads that once our children had passed, decided to become advocates, right? And really go out into our communities, educate folks, support folks, and do as much as we could just to make sure that, not to make sure, we can't make sure others don't walk in our shoes. I guess it's not our
Right.
power. I wish it
Yeah.
were, but actually just to help folks as they
Yeah.
try to navigate, either they're navigating through
And this is with
treatment or
Wahlberg again?
Yep, this is with Wahlberg again. So it's kind of the next
Now,
phase.
weren't they from the Lowell area anyway? Or
They're from Dorchester.
oh, I think okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, because his brother played a fighter from Lowell.
His brother played, yes, he
Yeah.
did, Mickey Ward.
Yes,
He did,
yes, I
yeah.
remember that was a hell of a good movie.
It was a great movie.
Yeah. So all right, so now that's going on.
Yep.
Okay. So what's your part in that really? You're
A
just
co-producer on the film.
co-producer.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. Lou, we're
Sounds so important.
gonna-
yeah.
Okay.
Yes, co-producer on the movie.
That's great.
It is great.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful opportunity. I think it's going to be a wonderful documentary. So
Okay.
it
Now
should
you
be
told me you did have some good stuff going on, because even though you lost Zach, you have grandchildren.
I do. I have 5.
Fran, don't listen to this. They're all young
I'm
and
sorry,
they all
Fran.
love her.
I'll always share them with you, though. Yes, I have 5. I have 4 girls and a boy.
No, all from.
My daughter has 3 girls.
Okay.
And my son has a girl and boy.
Okay. Now, did your son? Did he kind of get involved in?
He
Zack?
was actually my oldest is in recovery.
Oh,
and
is
he's
he?
in
No,
he's
I
been
did
in
not know
recovery.
that.
He's been in recovery for 9 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
After his brother passed,
Oh, so was he? He was active.
he was active.
Wow.
Actually, he was in treatment when Zachary passed.
No.
He-
Now, all
needless
these
to
years
say,
I knew you.
Needless
I
to
did
say,
not,
he relapsed, but
I did not
yeah,
know
he did.
that.
Yeah,
Well, good for him.
yeah. So he's been knock on wood. I
Yeah.
knock on wood every day, but
Yeah,
he's doing really
absolutely.
well.
Yeah, because my daughter will be she'll be celebrating 15 years
Wow.
this Labor Day.
Oh, isn't
Yep,
it
that's
so
her
nice?
new birthday, Labor Day.
Labor Day.
Yeah. And Fran and I have not missed one of her celebrations yet.
Oh,
Never
but
miss
then you
one.
know what? It's so important because
Oh,
it's
it
such
is.
an important milestone,
Yeah.
and
So it's
so hard. And they do it.
yeah.
The courage that they have.
Oh, it is. You know,
And people don't realize the
No.
strength and courage it takes,
Yeah.
particularly in the society that we live in.
yeah.
I've never witnessed more stronger people in my life.
No, and you're right. And I'll tell you what else. Yeah, you're right about, again, the stigma is alive and well.
It's like,
There's a lot going on out there. It's better than it was. But yeah, you still have people who say, my son used to say it to my daughter, just stop.
Just stop.
Just
Yeah.
stop. And I'm saying, and they just don't know that Colleen used to tell me she'd wake up every day and said, that's it. 2 hours later, she had the dealer on the phone.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be.
Nobody
like
would.
that.
Yeah. I used to tell people, what do you think when Zachary was born? He said, oh, and I
Yeah.
grow up,
Yeah.
I hope I'm a drug addict.
Yeah.
Like,
And I can remember when my daughter was just doing pot and maybe a few pills crushed up or whatever, and she'd look at her idea of the heroin addict was the one she'd see walking down by the river with
yeah.
the trash bag over the thing and pushing the shopping cart. Never in a million years did she ever see herself in that. None of them do.
None of them do.
But,
None of them do because they think they
Yeah.
can control it.
Yeah,
And eventually the disease controls
it
them.
does. Oh my!
And it
God.
is powerful.
It
It is
is
a very
well,
powerful disease.
It's got to be powerful when you see people who will relapse after 2 years, 3 years, 10 years.
And give everything up.
Yeah.
Everything they worked so hard
Yeah.
to get back.
Yeah.
They lose
It's
it. And
truly and I'm going to tell you what I have noticed, that people who really grasp into recovery, they're the kind of people we would like to be like. Their gratitude that they have is, I just find it amazing.
I do too.
My daughter is a nicer person now than before she started using. She's great.
And they're
Absolutely.
grateful. I think that's
They are
right. They are
truly,
so
truly
great. They are
grateful.
grateful.
I mean, they know how close they come to dying.
How close they did. Yeah.
But I didn't know about your other boy.
Yeah.
I am so happy that I.
Well, I always say it's his story to share. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily mine. So,
it
but
kinda
now,
is.
well, it is, and
Yeah.
it's his too. And actually, he's active in the community too.
Yeah.
He's in Portland, so it's
Yeah.
they have a very active community
That's
up there.
great,
And
yeah.
boy, it's a great place to be too. And
Great.
they're so supportive. It's just wonderful.
So, how often do you get to see your grandchildren? Though?
I try to see them every week.
Oh, okay.
So my daughter's in Billerica, so I'm either going to
Oh, that's
Billerica or I'm
close.
going up to
Yeah.
Portland.
Awesome.
One or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's great.
Now
It
you're
is
still
great.
working too,
I
right?
am still working. I work at University of New Hampshire.
University of New Hampshire.
Yep. Someday I'll.
Are you
retire.
are you the dean there or
No, I'm not a dean.
not yet? Okay.
Nah, then I might have summers off. No, I'm a worker bee.
Okay. Hey, I'm still working too. For the
You
school.
are.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I drive a school bus.
Oh, I love. Oh, you must be the best.
Oh, I am. I'm everybody's favorite bus
You
driver.
have to be.
Oh yeah,
Oh, they're
except
so
the teachers.
lucky to have
Because once they get off the bus, they're like,
you wind them up.
I wind them up. Yeah. Tell me something else about. We were talking about trying to get our message into the schools, and not just the schools, organizations, churches, whatever. I have found that to be the most difficult part that I've been working on almost 20 years now.
Yeah.
You know, I'd reach out to the schools, PTA group, PTA,
Yeah.
and they'd say, okay, yeah, well, I'll send out a notice. Maybe get 6 parents.
That's a good turnout.
Yeah.
That, I think that's what's so sad. I think there's still that, and we all thought, and not my kid, right? And
Oh,
I used to
absolutely.
say, not my kid. I said not my kid too.
Oh,
until it was my kid.
I was the president of Not My
Not
Kid.
my kid.
Oh,
And then,
yes.
and so like you, I have gone to many schools and tried to do parents' nights.
Yeah.
And
It's hard.
the parents don't come. And I think it's such a lost opportunity.
I'll tell you one thing we've had great success with. Well, and again, thanks to Cole. One school that has been very receptive has been the Greater Lawrence Tech. Because, I mean, we have all of our quarterly meetings there now because, they invite us with open arms. And they even invited Cole and I to speak on a parents' night. And what they do is, I guess they feed the parents. And then the
It's
next
nothing
hour,
like food.
Yep, next hour we go into the auditorium and we get to speak to well over 100 parents. And the majority of them are Latino, and quite a few of them can't speak English. So they hand out headphones and they have a translator doing the whole
That's
thing
great.
like that. It was really one of the best nights we've ever had. And those are the things that, if you can catch them early.
And that's
Real
it. And,
early.
I think one thing, and maybe we both experienced it, is my son was taking pills. It wasn't obvious.
Mhm.
I didn't see initially any real changes in his behavior.
Sure.
And honestly, it wasn't until there was $25 missing out of my wallet
Really?
that I said, what the heck's going on? And I remember sitting the 3 kids down and saying, you're not leaving until I know what's going on.
Mhm.
And finally, they threw Zack under the bus, basically,
Oh.
and said, I think it's him. And then, we had a conversation, and I will just say exactly what your son said. I told my son to knock it off.
Yeah.
And I took away his car. I took away everything,
yeah.
right? It's not enough.
No.
Knock it off doesn't work.
No, it
Knock
really
it off doesn't work.
But I mean, and that's the problem. Like you and I, when we first got involved in this because of our kids, we didn't see it as a sickness. And
No.
so many people now still don't.
They don't.
I know my sister, who has been very helpful with us and everything like that, but it was only, I'm going to say over the last couple of years, that she started to realize, no, this is not a choice.
It's not a
You know?
choice.
I mean, it may be a bad decision, but it's a bad decision that turns into a disease.
Yeah, and I used to tell people, who amongst us can't say that we did something stupid as a teenager, right? We did. We're just lucky that our brains were wired differently,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, maybe I could drink a beer
Mhm.
at 17 and I was fine afterwards.
Yeah.
My son couldn't drink a beer at 17 and be fine afterwards because his brain was wired differently.
Well, hell, I'm almost 75 and I'm still doing stupid things.
I guess you're right. We still do, right? So we can make some bad choices.
Yeah.
We do live to tell it.
Yeah. And, I mean, let's face it, my lovely wife, Fran, convinced me after a lot of years that I had a drinking problem. And I didn't think I did. But boy, come COVID, I was going crazy. I was drinking like I never drank before. And
I don't think you're alone in that.
No, so after one embarrassing night with some of her friends over the house, she used to just yell at me and I'd stop drinking for about 3 or 4 months, then pick it up again. But this time she didn't yell. She just very calmly said, it's embarrassing yourself what you're doing, and she went and she says, all the work you do on addiction, she says, come on, you got a problem. For the first time, I agreed with her and I stopped. And instead of drinking Mike's lemonade, I started drinking Polar seltzer.
It's better for you.
Yeah, I'd put it in a Zeddy cup there, Jetty
Yeah,
cup,
oh, the
so I wouldn't
Yetis.
know the difference. But and you know the crazy thing is, in my refrigerator, right in the back, there's still my last 3 bottles of Mike's lemonade. And everybody said, "Would you?" I says, "No, I gotta just to know." But that's how I handle it.
Yeah.
And it's something that you have to work on. It took me a long time to realize that I could actually enjoy myself without being
Without being,
shit-faced.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just, once again, it's kind of the world we live in, right?
Yeah,
It's a little,
it truly is.
yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to take a couple of minutes. We'll be right back. Don't forget, if you're listening, feel free to give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. And after the break, I think we're going to beat up the politicians a little bit.
Ooh. You know what? I want.
Haven of Hope is a faith-based 12-step recovery home for women seeking a loving and structured lifestyle to help them persevere over addiction. Our sober living house offers women an opportunity to gain life skills, coping mechanisms, and personal growth so they may return to their home or working field as productive members of society. Haven of Hope's approach is based on fostering a structured, faith-based life with a core component being the 12 steps from the Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, for with God, all things are possible. Contact Haven of Hope at havenofhopemethuen.org or call 978-258-3982. That's 978-258-3982, or visit us at 82 Union Street in Methuen.
Hi there. My name's Phil Lahey, and I do the Empty Chair show here. And as much as Fran and I have enjoyed doing this show, our real passion is with where it all began, the Circle of Hope, my support group for the families of addicts. I learned a long time ago that dealing with an active addict is just too difficult. So we invite you to join our group, the Circle of Hope. Give me a call, 978-886-2949, and you'll see our banner on the show anyway. And give me a call, find out what it's all about. If you don't think you're ready to sit into a group, Fran and I always invite people over to the house, and we sit down, have a one-on-one, and we talk about a plan you'll have to set up, how to deal with someone in active addiction, or just give you a chance to vent. So, if you or someone you know has dealing with someone in active addiction, reach out, give a call, take the first step. I promise you that it won't make it easier, but once you understand what it's all about, you'll be able to deal with it a little bit better. So again, 978-886-2949. Just ask for Phil. I'm always available 24/7. Thanks, and we'll see you on the Empty Chair. Bye-bye. Okay, guess who's back? Hi there. Listen, Louise?
That was
Louise.
my name.
Yeah, Louise. Okay. You were going to talk about a conference.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, I keep myself very busy. I'll just
you
say.
do.
So I'm part of this organization. It's called SADOD. So sadod.org. I'm also a peer. What am I called? I'm a peer group, a peer something or other. Anyways, grief specialist. So I just wanted to mention this. I talked about sometimes people don't want to walk into groups. We also do one-on-one, right? Mm-hmm. We're not counselors, but we're people that have walked, have had this, had similar journeys. Sure. And sometimes people just need someone to talk to and listen to, and that's our job. Yeah. We listen.
I like
no judgment. Listen.
I like the one-on-one.
It's really.
Like I said, I know Fran and I, we do the same thing with new people, and it kind of gets them at ease to know that they're not alone.
They're not alone, because it's a lonely journey. No matter which side of the journey you're on, it can be very lonely.
I truly believe that talking to a peer, someone who's been through with it, it's even for me. I've known so many that have lost kids, but I can't put myself in their place. I think I could, but no.
No.
Because I can remember when my daughter had that OD and I thought I was going to lose her. And
It's the worst feeling.
and you start thinking, oh my God, I'd be heartbroken, but she wouldn't be suffering. I started feeling guilty. I said, what do you mean?
We all think that. I don't think that's a abnormal thought.
But yeah, I'm going to tell you something that I don't think I could do. I don't think I could do what you do, what Doug Griffin does, what the Zanfagna family does. I'm afraid I might have been one of those parents that crawled in a hole.
Well, I would have come and got you.
Would you?
Would have, yeah.
I don't know. I'd be pretty stubborn. But that's what I'm saying. I try to think sometimes how I would have reacted, and you can't.
You don't know.
You can't
just don't
put
know.
yourself in that place.
No, it's a pretty personal
It truly
journey.
truly
It really is. And everyone's grief is different. It just is.
Because I remember somebody came up to Doug Griffin one time and said, well, I joined your club that nobody wants to join.
Yeah, that's what we call it.
Yeah.
The club you never wanted to be in.
That's right.
But once you get here, you do find, like you, we found a lot of people. Like I was very active and learned to cope when I was on the other side, and met some just amazing people that are still my friends.
Sure.
And now on the other side,
Yeah.
same thing. I've met people that really have helped me personally.
Well, I know we've been doing Circle of Hope for, I think it's almost 20 years
I
now.
bet, yeah.
And the people, they're family now.
They are.
They're
They
truly
become
family.
family.
And that's why when someone in your family ends up losing someone, like we've had happen more times than I care to mention,
It's tough.
it is.
So part of SAT-OD, what we've done now is one of my dreams. This is my dream. Was on my bucket list. Someone said, "What do we want to do next?" And I said, "I really wanted to do a conference, a grief support conference, where we could bring folks together, Massachusetts based. We could bring folks together and just, talk about there's different phases to grief. There's different ways of taking your grief and turning it into advocacy. It's all different things. We did crafts, yoga. So we had our first conference last October.
Oh, okay.
It was sponsored by BSAS and the Commonwealth of Mass. So they actually paid for the bulk of the conference for us. They've decided they're going to fund it again this year. So if folks are interested, it's going to be October 20th and 21st at the Sheraton Tara Hotel in Framingham.
Okay.
We do offer scholarships for folks because we charge a nominal fee, like $50 to make sure folks don't sign up and then come.
Right.
But $50 can be a stretch for some. So we offer scholarships. And it's really, a day of remembrance, a day of a community day. So satod.org, the information is on that website. So if people are interested, they can go there. And
I'll tell you what, maybe could you email me that?
I will. That would
And
be
what
great.
I'll do is I'll give it to Cole and she'll put it on our website.
Good. That would be, I would
Absolutely.
love that.
Sure.
That would be great.
Because, as hard as it is for people to find treatment for addict, it's even harder for someone, because a lot of times after someone's passed away, you say, well, it's all over now, but it's not.
It's not.
And it'd be so good for them to know that there's someone.
Your life changes on
Yeah.
that day.
Oh, it has to.
Changes that day.
Yeah.
But you can, as I always tell people, they don't believe me, but you can find joy again. It's just different.
Sure.
That hole in your heart, it gets smaller over time.
Yeah.
But it's
you're
there,
never gonna-
right?
yeah.
So and you shouldn't, because you love these.
Of course. They're breaking the chain of life,
They
and,
did. And they always say grief is love with no place to go. But I always say love survives no matter what.
Oh, I agree.
And I
Absolutely.
think people have to remember that. And
Yeah.
we're so connected physically, like we always think of just physical presence. And sometimes I think we have to think about,
Yeah.
I'm not going to get too godly here, but emotional and
Yeah.
spirit, we are connected.
Well, yeah,
and
you
it doesn't
kinda-
just have to be physical.
I mean, if you don't do that, then you're gonna drive yourself
you
crazy.
can drive yourself crazy.
Yeah.
So,
So I think that conference is really an awesome idea.
it's a great idea. We did.
Yeah.
It was
So do you
super last
have-
year.
Is there quite a few that do attend
We had 150 last year.
who have lost someone?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we're hoping to go up to about 250 this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, that's
And last year was all Massachusetts. It was Massachusetts based.
right, yeah.
We're going to spread,
Yeah.
extend a little to, New Hampshire. And
You know, and the thing is, you know, that sounds like that's a wonderful turnout. Don't get me wrong, but what percentage of that is of those who have passed
oh
away?
my goodness. Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think about that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. It probably represents not even 10%.
yeah. When I started reading things saying, well, there was 100,000 that died in a 12-month period, and there's just doesn't seem to be any. You know, let's face it.
If everybody could catch it, sorry, I hope that no one gets mad at you, but if it was COVID
Oh, I know.
and everybody could catch it,
Yeah,
trust me,
yeah.
we'd figure out a
Well,
way.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, how much money did we spend on COVID? And I'm not saying it was.
I'm not saying,
wasted
I'm not
money.
either. And I don't
All
want
right.
to even say,
But
I don't
what I'm
want to even
saying
suggest
is,
that.
this is an epidemic
It's a
that's
public
been
health
going on,
crisis.
and
years.
actually did get worse during COVID.
And it's getting worse again.
it
It
still
hasn't gotten
is.
better.
Yeah.
And the fentanyl is being replaced with the animal
Oh my
tranquilizer.
God,
And
do you
people are
believe that?
just no. Yes. Do I believe it? Yes.
Well, and and that's why.
Do I want to believe it?
Yeah,
No.
that's why I tell so many people. They say, "Well, you got to stop them from coming in from the border, and you got to get the." You want to know something? No matter what you do,
Dude, they're
they
gonna
will
get in.
always find.
Trains, planes, and
Right.
automobiles.
Don't get me wrong. Stop everything that's coming in. But if you think that's going to do it,
it's
no.
not going to do it.
But
I've said that before. It's
no.
not going to do it.
Drugs is it's a business.
It's
Supply
a
and
business
demand. You want to cut the supply, cut the demand. You want to cut the demand, get in there and get these kids early. Get
Gotta
the
get
parents.
them early. And you got to get the
Yeah.
parents.
You do have to get the parents. We tried to. I spoke to all the athletic teams from Methuen, not the schools, but the Pup Warner.
Oh,
and
Pop
all
Warner.
like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And I they have a board of directors, and I said, look at, make it a requirement, because parents have to sign a slip to say they allow them to play. Why not sign a thing saying you'll do a 4-hour orientation on substance abuse?
Yeah.
Now, is that so torturous? Well, yes,
it is. I tried that a little high. Didn't
Yeah.
work.
And it just frustrates the hell out of me.
It does. Me too.
I have tried more gimmicks to try to get to parents. And don't get me wrong, I've had some success because I've had the opportunity to speak to quite a few Rotary groups and exchange clubs and, all of those things like that. And that's great, but it's just not getting the neighborhood.
That's right.
Uh,
Yeah.
That's it. I'm not doing this
That's
anymore.
it. We're done.
Yeah, we're done. I feel like crap now.
No.
It's a
no,
lost cause.
It's
Everybody.
not. And you know what? We have made a difference. And that's what we always
We do,
have to
yeah.
remember.
And
if it's just, I've always said, we save one life, that is one life that's saved,
Yeah.
and one family that's saved,
Yeah.
and someone's friend that's
Yeah.
saved. And you know what? That
Oh,
makes me do it.
and obviously, I'm only kidding, because
Yes. of course
this
you are.
has been. I've had a lot of heartbreaks, obviously,
Yeah.
but I have had the most rewarding moments from seeing someone we got a scholarship from, or having someone call me and just want to talk, or parents coming over the house and say, gee, so and so is doing so good, they're in this and that. There are some really, really super things that have happened. It's like a roller coaster.
It's
obviously.
a roller coaster.
But
And that's the disease. The nature
Oh,
of the
it
disease is a
is, yeah,
roller
and-
coaster.
and-
So
and you're right. It's a vast majority of people see it as a problem, but not as a sickness.
no. That's why it doesn't get the support that it needs, right? I mean, they look at it as moral failure and not
Yeah.
as
I know it. It's pretty sad.
it's very sad. It's how we treat, I've always said, and I do say this, the way we're okay if it's from the neck down.
Yeah.
You can get the best treatment in the world.
Right.
If you start talking about a brain disease and brain health,
Yeah.
all bets are off. It's hard to get
Yeah.
the
good.
type of care.
And I'll tell you, like I say, I'm this young woman that I've worked with for quite a few years, And I don't know if you remember Joe Cotton from
I do
Psychological
remember.
Center,
Yeah, I do.
but he used to tell us relapse is part of recovery.
I
My
agree.
daughter says relapse is part of recovery, but it's not necessary. But I've worked with this one young lady for a number of years. And the reason I never gave up on her was she would relapse and she'd call me and we talk about, and she'd learn from her relapse. And each time she'd learn a little more and learn a little more until hopefully this last time, it's long term. But again, Fran and I, we love her like a daughter. And Fran, if you're there, give us a call. You want to say hi to Louise? So what do you got planned for the future other than your movie career here?
My movie career will continue. I will say, I hope this isn't like depressing to folks, because I actually don't think it's depressing.
No.
I'm moving more into the grief.
Yeah, you
side
did
of
tell me
things.
that. You
That's-
did tell me that.
I mean, not that I'm giving up Zack's
Right,
Teen Foundation. I will continue to do that until I take my last breath.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I
Mhm.
found a lot of, I just found a sense of purpose, trying to help others cope with grief. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't cure it.
No.
Sort of like we can't cure the disease,
Right.
but I certainly can be there to serve others that are walking the way I'm walking.
And-
So I'm getting certified.
Are you really?
Yes, I am.
Oh, that is so awesome.
I am working with David Kessler. If people don't, he's the Kubler-Ross model, the 6 stages of grief.
Mhm.
I'm getting certified. He is a program. I'm in the program now. I'm getting certified. And what I would really like to do is really help others
That is so.
and just,
God.
and let them know that, you talked about people not being able to get out of bed anymore.
Oh yeah.
I'd like to help them get out of bed.
I think
and I'd
that-
like them to know that it doesn't have to be the end.
Mhm.
It can be a new beginning. It's a different kind of beginning, but it can be a new beginning for them. And it doesn't mean they have to become this advocate. They don't have to be
Right.
like us.
Oh
They
no,
don't have
no,
to
no,
go
no,
out and
no, no.
There's different forms of advocacy too, right? And I said to someone, I had my grief support group just last night, and I said, sometimes getting out of bed is being an advocate,
Sure.
because you're advocating for yourself.
Hmm.
And think about that. And we learn that how precious life is, because none of us,
Yeah.
we know that death is inevitable. It is.
You sure?
Yeah, unfortunately, I've
crap.
been trying to beat it, but I'm not
Jeez.
sure I'm going to. Not yet,
Oh, my
anyways.
God.
Maybe
Now I'm depressed.
maybe our kids will, but it's just part of life. But we can't look at necessarily. Maybe death isn't an ending. We don't know, right?
No,
we don't
no,
know.
we don't.
But
I got to tell you, I am so proud of you, really,
Oh,
because
thanks.
that
You
is a
have to be.
service that is really not offered.
There isn't, and that's what I said. You know what people say to me? Louise, you know any good? No, therapists. I don't.
No.
Well, I know a couple, right? They're overwhelmed. They're like, please, I can't take on any more clients, Louise. And as I looked, there isn't a lot.
No.
There aren't a lot of people. I know it's a hard subject. I understand it
Yeah.
is,
Well,
but
I
it is
mean,
inevitable.
and again, to me, if you're talking to someone who hasn't been through it, you're gonna be suspicious if they really get it. And when you talk to someone like you who has been through it and helped others get through it, you have a tendency to listen. I just hope that you don't run into the same problem that all the other avenues of addiction run into, and that is getting the word out.
That's
that
yeah,
you're
that's the
available,
hardest thing.
You know,
Yeah,
Getting-
even just making that making that first
Yeah,
call, right?
yeah.
It's so hard, and I get it.
Oh,
It's
it
hard.
truly is unbelievably.
And
hard.
sometimes, if people will find my name, and sometimes all they want to do is just have one phone call with me, and I go, that's fine. That
Yeah.
one phone call
Sure.
is what you need and all you need.
Yeah.
No problem. Let's just have a call. And if you just want to cry you cry the whole
Yeah.
time. That's fine.
And the thing is, that one phone call, but at least the door's
it helped
open.
them. The door got
Yep.
open,
Yep.
and it will. And it's always open. It's
Yeah.
open for anybody.
It must be. Tell me something. When you're talking to someone who is brand new, all right, they're taking that first step, and let's say it's a one-on-one. How do you approach that?
I usually ask them I ask them how they're feeling,
Mhm.
right? So how are you feeling? And I go, no, really, how are you feeling? Like
Yeah.
people have a really hard time expressing how they feel.
Right.
And I try to bring that out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then more importantly, they want to talk about their lost loved ones.
Sure.
So I'll start asking questions about their loved one.
Mm-hmm.
The story, they want to talk about them.
Of course they do.
And I talk about Zack all
Yeah,
the time.
yeah.
I don't want people to. The biggest fear, I shouldn't generalize like this, is that we think they're going to forget them.
Mm-hmm.
And we know in our hearts we won't, but we don't want others to forget because
Right.
they did
Oh,
have an
yeah.
impact on this earth.
Sure.
Doesn't matter how small, how big, or how long they lived. They were loved. They had friends. They had family.
Yeah.
And they did play an important role in our in our
Absolutely.
family units and even in the community somewhat.
Well, it's
right?
and if nothing else, when they were born, they brought you a great amount
They
of joy.
did, and we
you know?
can't forget that.
No, you
And
can't.
I always tell, I even say to me, I don't want anybody to ever forget my son
Sure.
walked on this earth.
Right.
Just don't.
Yeah, because you had hard times, but you got good memories of him
But
too.
I do, and I said, we talked about the relapse recovery. There were times during so it was probably 4 years of hell.
Yeah.
During that period, he did have times of sobriety,
Sure.
and I got my son back. And
Yeah.
I used to, wherever he was, I'd call him and I'd say, "Thank you for giving me him back."
Yeah.
And if I only had him back for 90 days,
Sure.
honestly, I was grateful for those 90
Sure.
days. And then he'd relapse, and we do the whole thing all over
Yeah.
again. But I always got a glimpse of my Zack,
Yeah.
and I always was so grateful that these places would bring him back to me.
Sure.
And
Sure.
it didn't matter sometimes how long. I just wanted him back.
Well, you're right. That's what I guess that one day at a time really is significant.
It is. It's very significant. It's very significant.
I never asked you, was there any kind of genetics addiction? in
Oh,
your-
I absolutely. I am I am an adult child of an alcoholic. My dad was
okay.
an alcoholic, and he came from a family of alcoholics. And my children, my two boys, there's no doubt in my mind there's no doubt in my mind there is a genetic
Yeah.
component.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's true for 100% of the time,
No.
but that is one question I always ask when we help people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that it's true. If they want to share it, I don't make
Yeah.
anyone share it if they don't want to, obviously.
But it seems more often than not,
more often than not.
whenever I've done interviews, more often than not, there is a genetic background. I know there was with me, and obviously my daughter,
Yeah.
actually on both sides of her family, my side and her mother's side. So yeah, it does have a. I know we had that Dr. Poti.
Oh, Dr. Pote, I love her.
Isn't she? Yeah,
oh my goodness. Everybody. Now she should be her talk should be required taking.
It
for
should.
every
I
parent,
agree.
don't and
Yeah.
guys, you can get it on YouTube if anybody's
Yeah,
listening.
you
Go
can.
on YouTube and just Dr. Pote, Potte.
Potte.
Oh my God.
Isn't she amazing?
She's amazing. And she just puts it into layman's terms.
Yeah, she does.
And God,
And
she
she
is good.
she goes very much into the genetics.
She
aspect
does.
of it.
Yes, she does.
And what she kind of gives hope for those who are the children of an addiction family, because she would say, if you can keep off of it to your mid 20s,
It doesn't have
then
to
your
be your
chances-
future.
instead of 1 in 4, it's like 1 in
That's
25.
right. Yep. I know. And that's why people can't think that this has to
That's
be outcome.
right. Yeah.
And that's why my kids, I sat them down at a very young age. Of course, I didn't think about drugs.
No.
I was thinking drinking.
Right.
Oh no, I never had a drinking problem with any of my kids
No.
because I was like, put the fear of God in them.
Yeah.
Never knew. And like
No.
I said, parents need to know about these. They need to go into their medicine cabinets and clear them out.
Well, I remember the first day I found out that Colleen was using heroin.
Is that the killer?
Because we got a call. She had been working at a Pizza Hut or a Papagino's, one of them, and apparently she took money out of the register, and then they were after her, and that's when I found out. All right, so I did mistake number one. I paid Papagino's
Of
back
course
the
you
money.
did.
I gotta tell you, all the money that I paid out, she would bring her card, your
I know.
title.
I'd probably be retired now.
Yeah, she'd bring the card, the title, and they'd give her a couple $100. I end up paying. I yell at the guy, but I'd end up paying the money. I must have done that 3 times.
Yeah, I know. Before we learned.
Oh my God!
Oh my God! You bring it back. Oh, I'm having flashbacks.
and that's what I'm saying. Every parent.
See, we laugh too. We can.
Yeah,
We even
you can.
find.
Yeah.
We can laugh again.
Well, I know I always tell Fran, because Fran and I, when we kind of run the Circle of Hope, and Christ Almighty, we back and forth, and we tease each other, we joke with you. But you want to know something? Everybody that comes into that group, no matter how bad they're feeling, we will at least get a smile out of them before the night's over. And if I see that, I'm saying, well, at least for a little while, they felt pretty good. And that's kind of nice.
That's kind of how we want
That's
them to
kind of
feel.
nice.
Yeah, it's the best.
So, we ain't got much time.
No,
but,
we don't.
how about a little closing statement?
A closing statement.
Yeah.
I guess it would be you don't have to suffer alone. Whether a loved one is in active addiction, there's Circle of Hope.
Mm-hmm.
If your loved one didn't make it, then we have Coping Today. So that's the name of my grief support group. It's called Coping Today. We meet at the Riley School in Lowell. It's on Douglas Road. 6:30 p.m., the 4th Tuesday of the month. It's a group of, there's one mom who's been with me since I started. We actually started the group with 2 of us.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And, unfortunately, sometimes the numbers have swelled and other times.
Yeah.
And even if you just come once, sometimes that's all you need. But it's important to know these are not easy journeys.
No.
They're going to be the most difficult thing that you will live through in your life, I would say. Yeah. And you really do need, it's important to know that there's support and help, and there's others. I always say that walk in our shoes, and I know that saved my life, and that can save yours too. So
yeah, and it's true. Whether you're a parent of an addict, whether you're an addict, or whether you're grieving, don't do it alone.
No,
it's too hard.
It's too hard.
It's too hard. I know without the group that I have, when my daughter relapsed way back when, the group is what got me through. I mean, it was still hard, but I had someone there.
You had someone there.
So,
thank you.
We're going to be wrapping up, guys. I thank you for tuning in. It was a pleasure because I haven't got to see this young lady in way too long, and we'll correct that, I think.
Okay, good.
And listen, if you know somebody that is struggling with a loved one, turn them into, the Circle of Hope number is always up there. MVP ASAP has got the number there, a website, whatever you want to do. And hi, Karen. That's okay. You can reach out to us anytime. Take that first step, like Louise said. Anything pertaining to substance misuse, take that first step. You just might save a life. So on behalf of me and Louise, we're going to say goodnight for now, and we'll see you again next time on The Empty Chair. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.